अगर तहरीक इंसाफ की गवर्नमेंट आई, ये मैं कभी आपके सामने एक्सक्यूज नहीं करूंगा जी मैं बेपास हूं लेकिन फौज जी कुछ करने दे रही। ये तो कोई बहाना नहीं है। अगर फौज नहीं करने जा रही, मैं इनकॉम्पिटेंट हूं, इसका मतलब मैं डिजर्व ही नहीं करता प्राइम।
Never say. I mean, let's be fair. Never say never.
Because that's exactly what you end up doing.
That's exactly what you end up doing. And okay, let's be fair to the man, yeah. That was 10 years ago. Okay, 3 days ago, I'm like, Zarrar, you have to start doing push-ups. You're gonna stop smoking. Am I doing it?
No.
No, I'm not.
But then you're not aiming to be the prime minister of the country, right?
I am aiming to be prime minister of myself.
When you are in public domain, you say things, they have an impact, and obviously you want people to believe you. But the problem with Khan Saab is he takes extreme positions, outlandish claims. He changes his stance frequently. Everybody changes it, okay? I mean, all politicians are guilty of it, but he has a distinction that he does it frequently. He does it, some would say, shamelessly.
I would say brilliant.
Or
I would also say brilliantly. Okay. And now this is, I think, less to do with him and more to do with the fan base. Because he can say anything he wants about anything and then completely contradict himself 3 sentences later, and it makes absolutely no difference. He is the political equivalent of a non-stick frying pan. You know, those things are great.
Yeah,
I mean,
but it never sticks.
All the omelets you want, you know, desi ghee dalo, uske andar pyaz, I mean, whatever you want, nothing sticks to it.
But Zarrar, what was brilliant about his latest U-turn? You know, he spent a year saying, we are not slaves to America. America did this. The United States got me ousted. And now he's saying, oh, by the way, I really don't think it was the US.
The other way around.
Yeah. So what is brilliant about this?
It's brilliant because it works.
It works for who?
For his target market and his supporters. Absolutely works. They absolutely don't care. When I say brilliant, let me also qualify that a little bit, right? I'm not saying he's brilliant. I'm saying he knows his market brilliantly. And also everything he says is so sincere. I mean, it comes across as being so sincere.
Really?
Well, I mean, to his... I'm not thinking as me right now. Na, yaar. Don't think as Shahzeb Jillani.
Don't think of you as a normal, average person.
Are you trying to say that the PTI supporters are not normal average
They are
people?
special.
What are you trying to say?
No, I'm just saying they are special.
Like special like what? Special children?
Okay,
like
look. If somebody lets you down
special
once,
faluda?
twice, thrice, you learn.
No, but they don't believe that he's let them down.
I mean, his change of positions is just, where are you going to stop? Which bit should I take seriously when you are saying something? Because in our lives we meet people who are habitual liars, right? And once we detect them, we want to stay away from them, right? But in politics, when you have leaders who are shameless.
I dated a habitual liar once.
Okay.
And let me tell you,
we've all dated those people.
But I kept going back because the lies were so sweet. I wanted to believe that I'm like this really handsome and like, you know, intellectual guy. And that's what she used to tell me all the time.
But there came a point.
It was a lie.
Okay, but there came a point.
20 saal guzar gaye.
Achha, it was too late. Okay, so we've been...
I'm not talking about my khani. Not sorry.
No, that was before.
I just made these things up.
Yeah.
I didn't mean
But the point about Imran Khan is, I mean, you know, again, to be fair, he has galvanized, an entire segment of population which was never interested in politics, didn't care about how this country is run. I meet them now, and they're like, you know, we had no idea that the military actually controls politics. And I'm like, okay. I mean, Khan Saab has made people realize how these things work, right? So credit to him. But we are where we are. Where do we go next? I mean...
I think let's stick to where do we go next? Because I don't have an answer for that question. And let's face it, no one does. I think that...
No, I mean, what I was hoping or thinking about is, we've all made mistakes in our lives, and we are still making them. But the moment you realize...
Like this video, for example.
You come out and accept it and say, look, I got this wrong, right? We do this on our show. When we are on television, we say something, it's not right. You apologize and you say, look, I got this one wrong, and I've learned from it, and we are going to move on. We saw our other political leaders do this, right? Nawaz Sharif was this pro-army politician, launched by them, promoted by them. But there came a time in his journey when he realized that this is not how, it's not sustainable. He evolved.
But
will Imran Khan evolve? That was my question.
No, that's a very good question. I don't know. But as far as Nawaz Sharif goes, absolutely I agree with you. TK, and that was a very public admission as well. And then there was the vote ko izzat do mein aaniya narrative.
I mean, they still go
of DT Road.
Yeah.
So and then after that, I mean, you were part and parcel. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, right now you're pretty much in bed, right? So I mean, again, what is the point of a lesson learned if you're simply going to repeat it? Right? So I mean, that's another thing. I think that given the day that we're recording this, and I don't know when you're going to listen to it, but it's February 14th, which, as you know, is Valentine's Day or Haya Day or Hug a Cow Day, as you prefer. There's a Hug a Cow Day going on right now. The Animal Welfare Department in India, whatever. I think that it's highly appropriate that on this day we are discussing possibly one of the nastiest breakups of all human history.
Yeah.
All human history. मैं तो कह रहा हूँ कि मतलब start from Mohenjo-daro. I don't think that the Priest King and the Dancing Girl had such a bad breakup. Right?
Well,
as Imran Khan,
you don't know.
as Bajwa, we don't know, but I mean, I'm basing on reported history, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
one of the nastiest political breakups, General Bajwa and Imran Khan,
my God.
Best buddies for nearly 3 years, and when they fall out, he is just blaming him every single day.
Right there, caught that. No, it's like when those those really annoying couples. Those really annoying couples. If you're on Facebook or you're on Insta, you'll know them, and it's always like, oh my God, this is my hubby, I love him. And बीच में बंदा सोचा होता है कि यार, I know you're both having affairs.
Yeah.
Why this need for this public display? So यहाँ पर भी यही है ना, बार-बार. He was the most democratic of them all. And now it's like, look at what this guy said on his WhatsApp chat. I mean, Bajwa is telling his friends like Aftab Saeed and Javed Chaudhary, what he used to tell me. Ab ye jaake bata do logon ko. So I mean, it's.
But I guess even in this mess, there is a lesson for future military leaders who want to use politicians for their own gain. That in the long run, there's nothing to be gained. The country suffers, your own reputation suffers, and if you cut a deal with somebody like Imran Khan, you are doomed, my friend.
I mean, and I will add to that. If instead of say supporting parties, let's use the term proxies, right? The track record of our establishment using proxies is fantastic. We have 100% failure rate. 100%. I mean, you got to understand, achieving 100% is, that's the theoretical maximum. It takes a lot of effort to screw up each and every single time and then repeat it saying, oh no, this time it's going to be different. This time I swear, is the one I samhal lunga. Nahi sambhala jata. I mean, this goes for militants, this goes to political parties, this goes to the 5th generation Twitterati and these quasi anchors that were sort of patronized, who have now turned on you because lo and behold, shock and surprise, if you get a rabid dog to guard your house, he might bite you.
So that's the punchline.
Yeah, now go get your tetanus shots. Ooh, against the UN Charter. That's terrifying, right? Because we've never known anyone to go against the UN Charter ever. Right?
There's no precedent, right?
There's no precedent in all of history that any country would violate the UN Charter. I mean, my God. I mean, let's forget about the illegal invasions of Iraq. Let's forget about, Kashmir. Israel, Palestine, I mean, I don't know, there's like a whole
list.
Yeah, look man, it's up to us what we choose to condemn or what we choose not to condemn. Let's also be clear about that. Also, listen, this is not the model United Nations, and the question is a little bit naive in my opinion, because we also have relations with China to balance. China is close to Russia, so there's that. Let's not single out Pakistan either. India abstained. As did large parts of Africa, the entire Middle East, right? So, I mean, talk of legality and illegality. I mean, what is international law except a, puppet in the hands of the powerful?
But just to go back to that episode, I mean, just think back, it was a year ago, and such terrible optics that our Prime Minister is there on the day when Russia is invading Ukraine, right? So, what the army chief was trying to tell Imran Khan is that, look, we are much more closely tied with the West, with the US, with EU in terms of trade, than with Russia, and we need to be on that side. So clearly there was a disagreement in approach. Imran Khan believes, I was the Prime Minister, it's my call, you are nobody to tell me. And now he's saying that, I was being given this dictation. and this is the prerogative of the elected leader. Now, every single prime minister has struggled with this.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in Pakistan. At that time, Imran Khan didn't really, speak up for it. Now that he has experienced what it's like to be undermined by your own army chief, I can only hope and assume that politicians in Pakistan will at least agree to that point.
Yeah, and I mean, I will add, the optics, yes, the optics were pretty nasty. But let's face facts. It's not like Putin said, yo man, I'm going to invade Ukraine tomorrow, why don't you come over? These things are sort of planned in advance. However, yes, the optics weren't good, but I don't think there was much to be done about it. I will just finally add one thing to what Shahzeb said, is that, I'm glad that Khan Sahib has this realization now. I'm glad that his supporters have this realization now. Like you said, shockingly, oh my God, the establishment controls this country. I had no idea. But I think that sort of understanding should also extend to his opponents in the political spectrum. Because let's face it, what's happened has happened to everyone, and in many cases, far, far worse. So that realization that you talk of will not materialize. It won't turn into action unless everybody realizes this and says that, look man, we don't have to like each other, but we do have to work together. They don't want to have elections because they are very rightly afraid that they'll get wiped out at the polls. Let's face facts, right? The longer they delay it, the greater the chance of that happens, and the greater the chance of that happening, the longer they'll delay it.
Yeah.
Eventually this year you will have to have elections. If you don't, say, yeah, fine, we can maybe stomach a delay. But if you're going to, and again I will say this, if you are going to postpone elections indefinitely on the basis of an economic crisis which exists and a militancy or security crisis which exists, what if these crises never ever end? What kind of precedent are you setting? You shouldn't be thinking just short term in the next 6 months. Think of what that precedent that will mean for the next 6 years, 10 years. Whatever small gains you have made over the last 3-4 elections stand to be wiped away. So I have a hard line on this.
So my view is that, we have to face the bitter truth that Imran Khan dissolved 2 of the provincial assemblies only so that he can cause more chaos and force the government to organize national elections. Where we are today, we haven't faced a similar situation where we are looking at a by-election in March, over 60 plus National Assembly seats. We are looking at, these 2 assemblies elections in April, and then the national election in October. Looking at where the country is today, will that solve any problem? I don't think so. I don't think elections are a solution to anything. My big question is, Imran Khan doesn't recognize the election commission. He doesn't want to sit down and negotiate with his opponents. So even if elections are held and he doesn't get the majority he expects, he will be back on the road and he will be protesting, and we will continue with this political instability. And that is why, in my view, he needs to sit down with the government to negotiate the terms and conditions of what's going to happen next. They have to agree to certain rules and then have elections. Otherwise, we are just kind of going round in circles. The country is sinking and nothing is getting solved.
Hard to disagree with that. I will, however, add that I think that is probably by design, not sitting with the government, exactly so that, because if you do sit with the government, then you don't get the majority, then people will be like, well, you agreed to these terms and conditions, right? So what are you complaining about now? Not that will make any difference to his hardcore support either. However, if he does if he does not sit with the government, they don't agree on terms and conditions, right? And then he doesn't get the 2/3 majority, well, then it's dharna time.
Yeah, will this ever end? That's, people are just so fed up. Imran Khan has had his contribution, but he's really tired everybody out. Everybody's exhausted with his non-stop.
Except him.
Except him.
His party leadership.
Yeah, he has a great stamina.
And his party supporters.
Yeah. And the worst case scenario is the state actors, political and non-political, they all decide that the only way to deal with this is to isolate him by hook or crook.
Which I think they're trying to do.
And we've seen in our history that causes more problems in the long runs than anything else. So again, I think it's about going back to the table, sitting across, and then negotiating and resolving some of these big issues, agreeing on minimum common agenda vis-a-vis security, economy. I mean, that's
all of that.
Yeah.
I also don't think that any of that is going to happen.
Yeah, highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely. And on a positive note, I'm hoping that I'll be dead soon.